So good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, all about our online Explorer courses. My name is Christine Hepworth-James and I'm the Curriculum Development Manager for the South East of England. And today I will be presenting this webinar for you. So just a bit of housekeeping before we start. Today I'm joined by some of my colleagues who are readily on hand to answer your questions that I may not know the answers to. So please do submit any questions using the chat box as we go along, as we will be taking a pause halfway through the presentation to run through your questions. Plus, there will also be a Q&A session at the end. Now, if we run out of time, don't worry, we'll be taking all of your questions and be putting them into an FAQs document to share with you post this event. Okay, so during today's session, we'll be giving you a brief overview of the online Explorers. We'll also be showing you how to navigate the online course on the Pearson Learning Hub, showing you how you can support your learners, showing you how you can access your learner work submissions, a bit on enrolling onto the course, both for yourselves and for your learners, a piece on the digital credentials that come along with these courses. Of course, the pricing model, we'll be running through that with you. And again, at the end, there'll be a period where we can have a session on Q&A. So quick overview, here we go. So the online BTEC Explorer courses have been designed for adults who are either in work or out of work and maybe looking to change roles. Maybe they've done something in the past and are considering returning to that particular sector. So it could be good for the likes of the work programme or Kickstart, etc. And you may be able to tap into the AEB where applicable also. It's also for adults to progress onto maybe an entry-level job role or an apprenticeship, or even a BTEC course in one of the sectors that they have been working towards. The benefits for the learners is to explore the different roles in a sector and find out if these suit their interests, their personalities, and their skill set. There's going to be a lot of reflection built into these courses, so they'll be able to develop skills to work independently right throughout. They will be supported and guided by your good selves, tutors, to complete the activities online, and there will be an opportunity to gain a recognised qualification at level 1 on course completion and also a sector unit, and also there'll be an opportunity to gain a digital credential from Pearson, which they could share on the likes of their own online platform, and we'll be coming to all of this a little bit later on. The benefits for tutors, well, it's a strange environment at the moment, and it's all to do with flexible delivery. And that's what we have here with a blended learning format via our Pearson Learning Hub. They are accredited qualifications are built in, and the learning content, digital learning content for high quality delivery also. Now, the learner support can be delivered in many ways with this. It can be with a group work, it could be one-to-one. It's very, very flexible for that purpose. And you'll also be able to track and monitor your learner work online. So what do they look like? We have 10 different sectors, so 10 different courses. And as you can see, these are all around the usual suspects that you would expect. So we have them in the likes from business to sport, and hospitality all the way over to logistics. So plenty there for learners to choose from. I'm going to show you now how to navigate onto the course itself. So I'm going to jump onto the Learning Hub. So hold on tight. And here we go. Initially, what you will find when you start to buy courses is a dashboard that's similar to this. Now, these are all course cards. And as you can see, there are many different subjects. But for the purpose of today's demonstration, we're going to be looking at the business demo. And this is what happens when you click onto your course card. This is from a learner perspective, and you can tell that because at the top left here, you can see view this course as learner. There's a drop down there that you will be able to choose from later on as a tutor, but this will be fixed for the learner. Now, each course setup will look exactly the same. They will all start with an introductory video on that particular sector, and it will go on to also include areas on what job roles are also found within each sector. As you scroll down, you can see that there are 3 modules. We have module 1, which is where the learner finds out all about themselves. Module 2 is to find out about the sector, and module 3 is all about their next steps towards their careers. And underneath all of these modules, there will be lots of activity. Now, a learner can either start the course straight away, or if they were to click on this button here, which is business, you would see that the, whoops, a daisy, there we go, that the course itself will start to list at the bottom. And you'll see the whole course starting with job opportunities in the sector. And this will give the learner, if I click on it, some information to consider before they start the course itself. And it gives also information on what operational functions, etc. So plenty of information for them to absorb before they start. So if we go back to the actual structure, here we have the 3 modules. Every single module will start when you click on it with an overview. So module 1 has an overview, module 2 has an overview, and module 3 has an overview. And what the individual will do is they would click on overview, and it will give them further information about that particular module. And it's not an awful lot of narrative, just a little bit of narrative. If they were to click next, it would take them to the first activity. And as you can see with this activity, it's all about a personality test. The task 1.1 is, have you ever taken a personality test? And all they would need to do with this is to, we've given them the directive here to go and search online for a free personality test and record the results that you get below. And you can see here that you've got text boxes that the individual can fill in as they go. So if they were to do their personality and they came out as, I don't know, the campaigner, so let's put that in. Spelled that right? Individual traits, maybe, I don't know, they're a free spirit. The strengths, well, maybe they consider themselves to be observant. That's what they all came out in this personality tests. They may have a weakness, maybe they find it difficult to focus. And career paths, well, maybe they're suggesting they could be a writer, who knows? And that's all that the learner would do. They would just compile this, and then we have 2 tabs down here. One is to save their answers, and one is to download. So at this point, if they're quite happy, they would just simply save those answers. And you can see the way they've all the boxes turned into the colour green, which means, yep, good to go, everywhere has been filled in. Of course, it would remain red if not, but they can still come out of that, save it, and go back in again. They don't need to do it all at once. So further down, they've got the second task. Do you agree with the results? They're saying, ask a friend or a member of the family if they agree with the test, and how do you think this result is useful? So here again is the reflection side of things, and they just put in a little bit of narrative there. Great, all agreed. So we're going to save those answers, and we're going to save those. And what they can do from here, they can actually download it, and I'll show you what that looks like. So it comes out in a document, and this is what they could sort of download and chat to their friends, family, peers, and tutors. As you can see, there is the campaigner, who's very observant, etc. Okay. So what they would do was they simply keep going back to their modules and working their way through all of module 1. As they do it, you'll see green ticks start to appear, so that they know they have completed that particular area. Module 2, as you see, another overview, again, with lots of activities for them to work their way through. And then again, module 3, they've got all of those next steps towards their career with the overview and more activities. So lots for them to come up with. Now, when they've completed all of the course, there's progression routes at the bottom here. And this lays out how they can progress onto other jobs and or qualifications. So if they were to click on that, it clearly spells out to them the different routes. And it takes them all from level 1 all the way up to level 7. It gives the learner an idea of the different types of qualification, whether it be vocational or academic. the type of job roles, and a kind of an indication of how many years experience you would need in order to fit into these job roles. So that's another really good discussion point, but you can use that right at the beginning as well as part of the induction, because some tutors find these really, really helpful. And the other tab that they have that they can see is the recap button, and they can recap their answers before they submit their work for the tutor and for marking. So if they look at answer recap module 1, they click on that. You can see here, this is all of his work, campaigner, free spirit, all agreed, and all of that module is in one easy to print download document that they can then share. If they didn't like what they wanted there, or they wanted to change some of the narrative, they simply need to go back into the business, back to that particular module, into the personality test, for example, and he might decide, yeah, I want to be a writer, or I don't know, a journalist. As long as they save those answers, when they go save your answers, there we go, responses saved. As soon as they go back into the list, down to the recap your answers, they look at module 1, and then you can see here that it's updated writer journalist. So it just keeps a tab on them all the time. At the top here, they've also got other navigation tools. So you've got answer recap module 1, answer recap module 2, and answer recap module 3. So there are different windows they can actually go in to access this sort of information and put their answers in. And that's kind of it for the learner. So they just need to work their ways all the way through this. But what they would need to do is they would need to complete one module before they go on to the next. So they would need to save as they go and then submit what they finished. So for example, with the personality test, there's a button at the bottom where it says submit. And it will tell you your submission has been received. Then the tutor will be able to see that work, which we can look at a little bit later. So it really is a question of just save it, review it, download and submit at each chunk. But what does it look like from a tutor's point of view? Well, we saw this drop down earlier on. If we were to use that drop down and put staff, it will give you a very slightly different view. If we go to the course main page, you'll see that at the top left, you've got 2 more tabs that have come up. And also when you scroll down to the bottom, at the bottom of all the list, you'll see the tutor guidance here, which outlines the qualifications and sector units that the activities are mapped to. Now, this is a little bit of gold dust, this. It's only visible to those staff who are enrolled onto the course, which you can, once you're a user, you can actually do that with your colleagues. But what we really strongly suggest is that you do familiarise yourself with this prior to delivery. You can see with this, the business guidance in particular, it's saying the Business Explorer is mapped to the following units. So we have 2 units here, the self-assessment and career progression. And it clearly says if the learners successfully complete this Explorer course, they would be eligible to receive the qualification, which is the Level 1 award in work skills. It also gives you the link for the specification, and it also gives you the link for the units. When you scroll down, it then gives you the mapping for the sector units. So the business does have 2 units you can choose from, how and why businesses operate, and planning and enterprise. And again, when the learners complete one or both of these units, they will achieve a unit certification only, not the full qualification. But again, the specification can be found here, and the units can be found via this link. Within the tutor guidance, if you scroll all the way down, you'll get very clear guidance on what assessment criteria the learner will need to achieve. So you can quite easily see that for these, the assessment criteria for Learn Outcome 1, if you look at the Explorer course location of evidence, it will tell you that Module 1, Activity 2, Self-Assessment, Task 2.1 are mapped over to 1.1 and 1.2. So that takes an awful lot of work out of your hands when it comes to mapping this program across. Okay, does that make sense? I'm sure it does. Okay. Now then, the other tab you have here is Instructor. Course admin doesn't work for this particular course because this platform is used for many programs, but you will have Instructor. If you click on Instructor, it will bring up another page, another dashboard where you have some more tabs that have opened up for you. This will give you some course info, how many learners are enrolled onto the program, for example. So it'll look a little bit prettier than what it does here. But the main area for you here is recap, and this is all to do in how to access your learner work submissions. And as you can see, if you click on recap, all your learners will be listed underneath the module that they have submitted work for. So for module 1, we can clearly see there are 4 learners that have completed and submitted their work, and it's available for you to download and take a look at. Similarly, for module 2, there are 4 learners, and module 3, we have, well, good old Ellen. Ellen has managed to complete her module 3. And what you can do using the recap tool as a tutor is you can download that work from here. And what would happen is the date of submission will come up in the PDF document. If you look at the lower left there, you can see the 22nd of October, and it's a PDF document. So if you were to click on that, you would then get the learner work in a PDF format. And it's a little bit bawdy on here because this is a demo, of course, but you'll be able to look at this, give some marking on it, but you can also create a sample from the SV from here as well. Because the SVs can look at this sort of work, or the SVs can look at it simply straight off the Learning Hub. So that's how you can actually see the learner work once they've submitted it. If they just save it and they don't submit it, you won't see it. But once they've submitted it, you can see all the learner work there. Okay.